What is up, guys? I hope you are well. Um, Thank you for being here. Please clock in for your shift by hitting the like button. I have something funny to tell you before we slide right into a long divorce case that I just came across. Hi, Vicky, Jody Gardner, Lisa Figalicious, Jay from Michigan, Melanie Copeland's here, Courtney's here. Please tell me what you had for dinner. If you didn't like what you had for dinner, tell me what you wish you had for dinner. First things first, we always try and learn a little something every day. And I was doing a little language learning earlier today, aka scrolling through some sort of internet videos. And I came across a peculiar little funny thing that happens when you translate something from English to Dutch. Are there any Dutch speakers? I don't know Dutch, but I do know somebody who speaks Dutch, but they're not here. Lisa wishes she had prime rib. Melanie had vegetable beef stew. That sounds. Are you saying it's vegetables and beef? Um, Anyways, okay, hold on because this will be funny, I hope.
Pick my most beautiful side. Kies mijn mooiste kant.
Why can't I hear that? Can you hear that? Because I can't hear that. And that's a problem to me. But I don't know how to solve the problem necessarily. Oh, I know what the problem might be. Hold on. You can hear it? Can you hear what they're saying? Because that makes me a little. Yeah, okay, I guess I can. Maybe this is just the best I got.
Pick my most beautiful side. Kies mijn mooiste kant. Kies mijn mooiste kant. Kies mijn mooiste kant. Kies mijn mooiste kant. Kies mijn mooiste kant.
So that's what I learned earlier. Anyways, so now we have actual court to watch. Like I said, it's the beginning. It's a divorce case. I don't know much else about it. It's referee Hagen, and I am unsure of what the whole situation is because I'm watching it for the first time with you guys. Right? So, anyways, okay. So we can get rid of kiss my moist cunt. But we all learned something in Dutch today. You're not going to forget, aren't you? Oh, background is dangerous. Hold on, let me just see. Really dangerous. Um, like I said, this was a busy day for Judge Hagen, and you're going to see why. It seems like a bit of a nightmare, as usual, but we love those.
Okay, we're back on the record on case number 2317423 DM. Ms. Lentz.
Wrong one. Hold on. Wrong one. Nope. It's this one then.
All right, this is case number 2317423 DM, Kloosterman versus Kloosterman. Today's date is October 17th, 2023. This is the date and time set for our hearing on custody-related issues. Ms. Lentz, you and your client are top left to me. If you both state your names in whatever order you choose, please.
Thank you, Your Honor. Elena Lentz for the plaintiff, Jennifer Kloosterman, who's seated beside me.
State your name, ma'am, please.
Jennifer Kloosterman.
Thank you. And Ms. Schmeltzer, same with your client.
Lori Schmelter on behalf of the defendant's counter plaintiff Kevin Klusterman, who is also appearing via Zoom remotely from my office.
Kevin Klusterman.
Please introduce the dog. There's obviously a dog. Like, you have to introduce the dog.
Thank you. All right, we do have two objections. Both parties have objected to the temporary order. Because plaintiff filed first, we're going to start with proofs from Ms. Lentz and her client. I have reviewed the file, so you're welcome to provide opening statements if you'd like. So we'll start with Ms. Lentz. You could just let me know if you want to do an opening statement. If so, just go ahead and proceed.
I'll waive your opening statement, Your Honor.
Okay, and Ms. Schmelzer.
Thank you, Your Honor. Just briefly, my client is seeking to maintain the temporary order at this time. It is joint physical and legal custody with a week on, week off schedule. These children are between the ages of 10 and 15. Both parents have been exceedingly involved in these children's lives. In fact, these children, and the testimony we'll hear in the next 2 days, will be that these children are highly involved in extracurricular activities, social activities, family activities, and both parents are present and supportive of these activities. We believe that the evidence will show the established custodial environment is with both parents, and the law is to change that, which it is our understanding plaintiff is seeking to change that, is clear and convincing evidence. In our opinion, we don't think she has clear and convincing evidence to change it, and therefore we are seeking the award of joint legal and physical custody. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Lentz, your first witness, please.
Your Honor, I believe there's two people in the waiting room. I'm not sure who you said, Tammy or Terry. Can I see who that is?
Sure. Yeah, well, I can tell you. Sure. Yeah. So I have a Garrett DeVree, DEVREE, and then just a Tammy, no last name.
Okay.
I can bring. Yeah.
Yeah. Could you call? I just don't recognize the name.
That's, no offense to any Tammys. Just kidding. But if you have an unidentified Tammy in your waiting room as a lawyer, what do? Do you bring her in or not? Anyways, so if you're just joining us, thank you for being here. Please go ahead and clock in for your shift by hitting the like button. If it's been a while, that's okay. We understand that. I am thankful that you're here now. Also, Judge Hagen's hair looks a little flat, like he's been missing the ocean. You know what I'm saying? Like he wishes he was in the ocean, but he's been stuck. I don't know where he's been. I mean, he hasn't been on YouTube doing trials.
Tammy, but maybe they're using someone else's phone or something.
Yeah. Okay.
I've also been at Hogwarts, remember? Also, I think it should be mandatory to introduce the dogs now. And because this is like peak Canadian internet time, I'm dropping my video so that it doesn't skip.
For the record, Tammy is not connecting audio. Someone just popped in as well, just so you're aware. KC Plamondon.
Okay, I can start with her, Your Honor. Well, maybe. Oh, that's Katie.
Got it. For you to have those cramps and then to have a period of cramps and then,
Good morning.
Oh, okay. Good morning. I think you're gonna need to turn it up a little bit. Okay. Yeah. That's not normal.
Do you recognize this person, Ms. Lentz?
I do, Your Honor.
Okay, I'm all set.
Is it Tammy?
No, we're good.
No, her name is Katie Amon.
Is this the witness you'd like to call?
Yes, Your Honor. And can we request that the witnesses be sequestered in this matter?
Sure. Well, yeah, 1 second, and I'll take care of that. How do you spell her last name? I gotta type everybody's.
Amon.
Thank you. All right, is it Ms. Amon?
Yes.
And any objection to sequestering the witnesses, Ms.
Objection.
Schmelzer? So the witnesses will be sequestered, just meaning before you testify or not, no witnesses are permitted to watch this YouTube trial or.
Oh, you hear that, guys? Are you witnesses? Stop it. Stop right now. You're not allowed to watch this. I mean, we're all witnesses in a way, but not those kind of witnesses.
Be in the room, I suppose, if you have any witnesses in the Zoom boxes with you as the attorneys. I assume you don't, of course. Ms. Amon, if you'd raise your right hand, please. Do you swear from the testimony you're about to give the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you. Ms. Lentz.
Thank you, Your Honor. Ms. Amon, can you please state your full name and spell your last name for the record?
Catherine Ann Amon, Amon.
And can you explain how you know the plaintiff, Jennifer Kloosterman?
We are friends, neighbors, met through our children.
How long have you known the plaintiff?
About 4 years, a little over 4 years.
And can you explain how you know the defendant, Kevin Kloosterman?
In the same way, we met the same time.
Ms. Amon, how frequently would you say that you see the plaintiff on a weekly basis?
Well, depends how busy our kids are, anywhere from not at all to 2 to 3 times.
And in the times that you see the plaintiff, are her children ever present?
Yes,
Have you ever seen the plaintiff express love and affection towards her children?
of course.
And can you explain your answer?
Well, I mean, it goes from anywhere to getting kids to where they need to be on time, to hugging, to telling them that she loves them, to doing anything a mom would do, cooking, whatever it is that the kids need.
And Ms. Amon, have you seen the children reciprocate love and affection towards the plaintiff?
Of course.
Okay, so generally things don't just like hit hard right away. Hold on. But evidently that she's prepped this witness. They are like in on it. They know what to say here. This is weird. That's a weird answer to that question. That's what I mean. Like, this is a prepared witness, quite obviously.
From your interactions with the plaintiff, do you believe that she supports the children's education?
Absolutely.
Can you explain your answer?
Well, she's a teacher herself, so obviously she respects the education system.
Humble
She's
pie.
helped with homework, getting kids to parent-teacher conferences, getting kids to school on time.
Ms. Amon, have you ever seen the plaintiff discipline her children?
Of course,
From what you observed, would you characterize the plaintiff's method of discipline appropriate or inappropriate?
appropriate.
And Ms. Amon, in the context of discipline, have you ever heard the plaintiff yell at her children?
I literally just checked to make sure that I didn't increase the speed here. This is insane. Do you hear how fast they're going through some of these really weird questions?
She's not much of a yeller, but yes, she's raised her voice.
In the context of discipline, have you ever heard the defendant yell at the children?
Not really. He's also raised his voice, but in front of me, he has not yelled aggressively.
Have you ever seen the plaintiff provide food for the children?
Yes.
And can you give a specific example?
Well, I've been over there a lot and she's cooking dinner because we see each other in the evening. So yeah, grilling. She's a good cook.
Ms. Amon, have you ever seen the plaintiff provide medical care for the children?
Yeah.
And can you give a specific example?
Actually, recently, one of the children had a pretty bad headache. So we were kind of going back and forth on what we could do to help. And she was the person who was helping get through the headache.
Ms. Amon, have you ever seen the children seek comfort from the plaintiff?
Yes.
And can you give a specific example?
Kind of a funny thing. The kids go to her for hugs all the time. I mean, I've seen her wrap her arms around all 3 of her children at different times.
Ms. Amon, have you ever seen the plaintiff at one of the children's extra?
In what way is that funny? Is that what she just said?
Kids go to her for hugs all the time.
Plaintiff.
Yes.
And can you give a specific example?
Kind of a funny thing. The kids go to her for hugs all the time. I mean, I've seen her wrap her arms around all three of her children at different times.
Miss Amon, have you ever seen the plaintiff at one of the children's extracurricular activities, such as a sporting event, recital, concert?
Yes.
What extracurricular activities have you seen the plaintiff at?
Softball and hockey specifically.
And during those events, does the plaintiff appear like engaged with what's going on?
Yeah.
Have you ever seen the plaintiff like offer support or encouragement to the children during these events?
Yes.
And what sort of things have you seen the plaintiff do to offer support and encouragement?
Like most parents, she will clap and she will cheer and she will say good job and she will video or take pictures.
In the context of extracurriculars, have you ever seen the plaintiff berate the children for their performance?
Can you just
I'm reminded of my recent trip to the United States. Oh, how I wish I was saying it as if I was there, but I'm not. But I went to my first ever football game, high school football game, and as usual, I talked to everybody because I like to talk, and everybody likes to talk to me. And the woman sitting in front of me, her child was playing in the game. We talked about his number and we cheered for him. I was so excited about it. And approximately, a little ways into the game, she started remarking upon the fact that they were losing and not doing well, and that she wasn't going to feed him dinner. And I was like, oh my God, that's horrible. Um, Anyways, so at the end of the game, even though they had lost, I did, when I said bye to her, I was said, "You're gonna feed the boy dinner, right? Can you do that for me?" And she laughed at me and she's like, "Yeah, I guess so. He tried pretty hard." I was like, "Thank you so much. I really appreciate it." I mean, I was very impressed with the athletics programs at the school, but I was like real sad that she wasn't gonna feed him dinner. And I felt like she wasn't kidding. Like she was literally not joking.
find what you mean by berate as far as be aggressive or angry?
Make them feel bad if they're not
Yeah.
playing well.
Objection,
no.
speculation. How would she know if the children feel bad?
I mean, she can describe what she's observed.
It-
I didn't take it more of a context if she's just defining berate. I don't know that.
Okay,
I've never
I'm
seen
fine with
her,
I'm fine with the question.
yeah, I've never seen her yell at the kids or
Mm.
tell them that they've done a bad job at whatever extracurricular activity they've been at. So no.
In the context of extracurricular activities, have you ever seen the defendant berate the children for their performance?
Not specifically, no.
Can you explain your answer?
I think just between the two of them, Jen is watches more and Kevin will get more into the game. So I don't know that he would berate the children, but he definitely gets more excited or into the game. And I'm talking specifically hockey, but I mean, no, he have never seen him berate the children.
And Miss Amon, aside from attending the children's extracurriculars, do you know if the plaintiff is involved with extracurriculars in any other capacity other than just attending?
Well, Jen does the fall program for Central High School, so that's a huge undertaking that she does for the kids, not just her own. In hockey, I don't know what her title is, but I know she's in charge of organizing a lot of banners or signs, food, whatever needs to be done. I think she makes sure that happens.
Miss Amon, what is the fall program?
Like the fall, like if you go to a sporting event and you go into, say, the football game, you can buy a program and it's for Central High School. You open it up and it has the track and not track because that's not a fall program, but cross country, football, whatever the fall sports are. And she puts that together for the high school, for the athletic department.
Would you characterize the plaintiff as an involved parent or an uninvolved parent?
Involved
Can you explain why you say that?
because of all the things that we just talked about.
And Ms. Amon, in the times that you have seen the plaintiff interact with her children, have you ever observed any behavior from the plaintiff that you would deem concerning?
No,
Ms. Amon, from your interactions and observations with the plaintiff, defendant, their family in general, what parent would you say is more responsible for day-to-day care?
Objection. She's asking her to draw the conclusion that's for the court to draw the conclusion of which parent is the primary caregiver. This is a roundabout way of asking about the established custodial environment. She's asking a lay witness to draw that conclusion.
Your Honor, I believe that the plaintiff or the witness can answer this question. She just said she's been super involved with the family for 4 years and can make the decision of what parent she sees do these activities more frequently.
Yeah, I think it's just more of an observation. I think there's more than enough foundation that she's been around this family to let us know what she has seen. So you can answer, in other words, Ms.
Okay. From my perspective, Jen is around more, but to be fair, Kevin's job takes him away a lot. So I think the nature of his job has him working later.
So Kevin pays for everything. And that's why Jen can sit around all day, is what I'm hearing. Hard to hold that against him. If that's the only reason that she gets to stay at home is because he's busting his ass working all over town or all over the place.
Hours or in the winter odd hours. So I see Jen do more, but that's because of his job and what he's trying to provide.
And Ms. Amon, have you ever heard the plaintiff, Jennifer Kloosterman, speak negatively about the defendant in front of the children?
No,
Have you ever heard the defendant, Kevin Kloosterman, speak negatively about the plaintiff in front of the minor children?
no,
And Ms. Amon, to your knowledge, has the defendant ever been physically violent towards the plaintiff?
not in front of me.
Thank you, Ms. Amon. I have no further questions for you.
Ms. Schmelzer, do you have any questions for this witness?
Yes, just briefly, Ms. Amon, my name is Lori Schmelzer, and I am the attorney for Kevin Kloosterman. I'm just going to ask you a couple of quick questions here on some of the questions you were asked. Have you seen Kevin Kloosterman also take care of getting the children to and from school, picking them up, and transporting them to their extracurricular events?
I can't say that I've seen him to drop the kids at school because I'm not with them in those hours. I've been told that he does that, so I'm assuming he is. I have seen him go to hockey or take them to practice. Absolutely.
Is he an involved and present father?
I've seen him at events. Yes.
Have you seen him at more of the extracurricular events than not at the extracurricular events?
It's hard to say because I'm not at everything.
At the ones
I've
you're
been in
at,
those hours.
do you typically see both parents there?
He does that. When we were talking softball, sometimes, I mean, I'm not standing next to him, so I assume he's there somewhere. Hockey, yes. If I was at a hockey game, he was there.
And you said you're not around in the mornings when the children are going to school. Is that correct?
Of course, I'm not at their house in the mornings.
Okay, so your testimony that you've observed Miss Kloosterman ensuring the children get to school then is not based on firsthand observation.
Well, what I just told you, they both have told me they take kids to school. So yes, Jen will take kids to school as well as Kevin.
Okay,
I wasn't
I'm
asked
asking
him
about,
earlier.
yeah, sure. I'm asking about your firsthand observations, what you've actually seen. You have no idea actually who takes the children to or from school because you
Sure.
don't see it yourself personally.
Sure. Yeah, sure.
No further questions.
Any redirect? Thank you, ma'am. You're all set.
Great, thanks.
And then I can go over who's in the waiting room again.
Thank
if
you.
you'd like.
I'd appreciate it.
Yep. Garrett DeVries and KC Plamondon. I'm not sure how to pronounce it.
Let's go with Casey.
Okay. Casey? Oops.
figure out my technology, sorry.
Good morning. You can
Good
hear me okay?
morning.
Okay, excellent. So you've been called as a witness in this matter by Ms. Lentz and her client. She will have some questions for you. And then if she chooses to, Ms. Smeltzer may have some questions for you, okay?
Okay,
All right. So if you'd raise your right hand, please. Do you swear from the testimony you're about to give the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you, Ms. Lentz.
Thank you, Your Honor. Casey, can you please state your full name and spell your last name for the record?
Casey Plamondon, Plamondon.
And Ms. Plum, do you mind if I call you Casey?
That's fine.
Okay, thank you. Casey, can you explain how you know the plaintiff, Jennifer Kloosterman?
I know Jen for about 6 years. We met when our sons were playing hockey together.
And how long have you known the plaintiff then?
6 years.
Do you know the defendant, Kevin Kloosterman?
I do.
How do you know the defendant?
In the same manner, we met through our son's hockey team.
And Casey, if you had to estimate, how frequently would you say that you typically see the plaintiff on a weekly basis?
It depends on the season. I see her a lot more in the summer, probably once, sometimes twice a week. When our kids are busy with their sports, it might be every other week.
And in the times that you see the plaintiff, are her children ever present?
Most of the time they are.
Casey, have you ever seen the plaintiff express love or affection towards her children?
I have.
And can you give a specific example?
Absolutely. I mean, when the kids are upset, she's usually hugging them or trying to calm them down. When they're getting ready for bed and that kind of thing, she helps tuck them in and get them settled for the night.
And Casey, have you been around the plaintiff when she's getting the children ready for bed?
I have.
And do you see the children reciprocate love and affection towards the plaintiff?
I do.
Can you give me an example of how you've seen the children reciprocate?
Asking for hugs when they're being dropped off at my house. When she's getting ready to leave, they make sure they go up and give her a hug or a kiss before she leaves for the night.
And Casey, from your interactions with the plaintiff, do you believe that she supports their education?
I do.
Can you explain why you think that?
She makes sure she goes to a lot of the school events. We've talked about grades with our kids or struggles that they might be having in school. As moms, we've shared that. I know she goes to their open houses, those types of things, helps with homework.
Have you ever seen the plaintiff help with homework?
I have.
Can you recall a specific example?
Helping with worksheets that were brought home from school with the girls, when they've had questions and that type of thing. She was right there helping them.
And Casey, do you know if the plaintiff assists the children with homework when they're with the defendant?
She does.
And how do you know that this
Objection.
happens?
Yeah, I lack of foundation.
Isn't that what Ms. Lentz just asked? How do you know that?
I believe I was saying objection at the same time, so I didn't. It was.
Okay, so let's go with, we're getting at the foundation, so.
All right, Casey, I'll repeat the question. How do you know that the plaintiff assists the children with homework when they're with the defendant?
I've been at her house at night when the kids are with Kevin and they'll text, a screenshot of what they're working on for math specifically, or they'll call.
Casey, have you ever seen the plaintiff discipline the children?
I have.
And from what you observed, would you characterize the plaintiff's method of discipline appropriate or inappropriate?
I would say appropriate.
Have you ever heard the plaintiff yell at the children?
Not yell. Just use a stern voice.
In the context of discipline, have you ever heard the defendant yell at the children?
I would say the same thing. It would be more of a stern voice when we're around than
And
yelling.
Casey, have you ever seen the plaintiff provide food for the children?
Yes.
Can you give a specific example?
We've been over there for dinner recently and she's preparing a meal when my kids are there, all of them kind of go right to the snack cabinet and help themselves to snacks as well and drinks. So
Have you ever seen the plaintiff provide medical care for the children?
yes,
Can you give a specific example?
one of the girls had fallen down, and I mean, she's cleaning up their wound or putting on a Band-Aid, nothing major, but
And have you ever seen the children seek like comfort from the plaintiff?
yeah,
Have you ever seen the plaintiff attend the children's extracurricular activities such as a sporting event or recital?
I have.
And what activities have you seen the plaintiff at?
I've seen her at volleyball, hockey, and softball.
And during those events, does the plaintiff appear engaged with the event that's occurring?
She does.
During those events, have you ever seen the plaintiff encourage or support the children?
Yes. Yep. She's usually cheering on her children or the team, depending on the sport.
And Casey, in the context of extracurricular activities, have you ever seen the plaintiff speak negatively about the children's performance?
No.
In the context of extracurricular activities, have you ever seen the defendant speak negatively to the children about their performance?
No.
Casey, aside from attending the children's events, do you know if the plaintiff is involved in any other capacity with those extracurriculars?
She has coached volleyball. She has coached softball. She's been the team manager for several of the.
Oh my God. I could not coach volleyball and I could not coach softball. Maybe I could coach softball. Like maybe like really young kids softball. Like I coached really young kids soccer before, but I really don't think I could coach volleyball. I know how to play volleyball. I know the rules. I'm not very good at it. I don't know why. I don't like to hurt my knees. I think that's the main issue with volleyball for me. It was like I'm always diving and hurting my knees. Hi, H&W. Mayor's here. I'm here too. I'm just trying to get the video to play. I'm back in Canada and our internet speeds are so atrocious that like every hotel I stayed at where you'd think, oh, that's really shitty internet, blew my internet at home, which I pay a lot of money for, out of the water. So it's at peak internet time right now. So I'm here, I'm watching. This is the beginning of a long divorce saga that we're going to be watching over the next couple of days. These people are fighting. I don't even know over what yet. Nobody established that. There was horrible intros, but we'll figure it out. There's also a dog in one of the offices at some point, and as usual, the judge surfer is sitting under his map, dreaming of his next surf vacation and also his regular gig as a professor at Hogwarts, where he works 3 weeks of the month, and then 1 week of the month he works here.
Hockey seasons for the hockey teams.
And would you characterize plaintiff as an involved parent or an uninvolved parent?
I would say involved.
Can you explain why you think that?
She's always encouraging open communication with them. She has a handle on their grades and their education. She's very invested in their extracurriculars and just making sure that their needs and well-being are being met.
And Casey, in the times that you have seen the plaintiff interact with her children, have you observed any behavior from the plaintiff that you would consider to be concerning?
I have not.
Casey, in the context of travel hockey, have you ever spent a weekend with the Kloosterman family?
I have.
And during those weekends, who would you say was more
Okay. This is becoming exactly like the fucking last case. Judge, you need to step in here. This is useless. This is absolutely useless information. I don't give a fuck who appeared more parental during a travel hockey weekend. Oh my God. This judge, this referee, I'm going to be mad. This is why I got mad in the last case, because he just lets them babble. Fucking rein this shit in, Judge. This is judicial efficiency that you need to be handling here. I don't give a fuck. Okay? I don't need to hear about any of this shit. Rein it in. Object. Seriously.
Responsible for day-to-day care of the children, the plaintiff or the defendant?
When I was present, most of the children were going to Jen for any questions or things that they had come up, and she normally had the girls with her.
And honestly, we can just assume that they are automatically going to have witnesses for and against each other that will say the opposite. So the judge really needs outliers. He doesn't need somebody who's like, oh, status quo, status quo, status quo. No. No. Fucking no. These are so coached too. It's like hurting me inside how fucking coached they are. Hugs, hugs, hugs to Sassy. Oh, we're thinking of you, Mayor.
And Casey, have you ever gone boating with the Kloosterman family?
I have.
Boating? Boating? Oh my God. Humble fucking brag.
And during those instances, what party was more responsible for ensuring the children had sunscreen, food, those sorts of things?
I know Jen always packed the sunscreen and the food up. She was definitely nagging them to make sure that they reapplied the sunscreen quite a bit.
The sunscreen
Casey,
application.
do you have
Hold on. Is that they are literally doing which person is sunscreen applying more frequently? Come the fuck on. Wow.
any knowledge as to what party, plaintiff or defendant, transports the children?
I don't have very clear knowledge on that one, no.
And Casey, in terms of communication, do you find it easy or difficult to communicate with the plaintiff, Jennifer Kloosterman?
She's very easy to communicate with.
In terms of communication, would you say it's easy or difficult to communicate with the defendant, Kevin Kloosterman?
He's been easy for me to communicate with as well.
Casey, on the weekend of September 30th, 2023, did one of the Kloosterman children spend the night at your home?
Yes.
Do you know if that weekend was defendant's parenting time or plaintiff's parenting time?
It was the defendant's parenting time.
Did the defendant reach out to you to coordinate that sleepover at your house?
He did not. I actually found out about it. I knew our children were engaging in the conversation, but Jen actually called me in regards to it.
So to be clear, Miss Kloosterman, the plaintiff, called you for that sleepover?
Correct.
And prior to the party separation, would any of the Kloosterman children stay the night at your home?
Yes.
Who would coordinate those sleepovers at your home?
Jen and I would coordinate those.
Casey, have you ever heard the plaintiff, Jen Kloosterman, speak negatively about the defendant in front of the minor children?
I have not.
And Casey, have you ever heard the defendant, Kevin Kloosterman, speak negatively about the plaintiff in front of the minor children?
Occasionally.
And Casey, are you aware of any incidents of physical aggression between defendant and plaintiff?
There have been some, yes.
Can you explain your answer?
They had a domestic situation.
Hold on. Explain your answer. What the fuck is this? A quiz at school? Explain your answer. I haven't heard that in a long time. Also, if you're just getting here, welcome. We're watching a divorce case. It's just beginning. I don't know which side is going which way yet. We're just figuring it out. We got two blonde lawyers, a blonde judge, and we're going to figure out where this cookie crumbles. Please go ahead and hit the like button regardless, because I work hard for these videos sometimes. And I appreciate it. And it's free.
A few years ago.
Objection, lack of foundation.
Ooh, I'm going to like timestamp that to myself because that was a great objection. Like, I love, we don't often get objection. Lack of foundation?
Answer.
They had a domestic situation a few years ago.
Objection, lack of foundation. If she wasn't physically present to see this, I don't think she has a foundation to testify about it.
Your Honor, Miss,
He hasn't said whether she was there or not. So do you want to just follow up on that foundation question and we'll see?
sure, Your Honor. Casey, how do you know about the domestic incident?
I had had conversations with Jen about it, and Kelvin after the incident.
Hold on, it's Kelvin, not Kevin. That's a totally different kettle of fish. A Kelvin is that I'm assuming a K? A Kelvin? Okay, wow. Wow, things are making much more sense now. Yes. I was thinking, what, Kevin? Kevin, what are you doing? You're sitting like a Kelvin.
Then also I'm going to object to hearsay.
I assume Jen is the plaintiff in this case, so overruled.
Kelvin, however, is the child, and
Thank
she
you,
stated,
thank you, overruled.
Oh, hold on, wait, the Kelvin is the child? What the fuck? You have a dad named Kevin and you name your kid Kelvin? That's even worse. That's horrible. Why would you do that? That's such a weird thing to do.
Casey, can you go ahead and explain what conversations you had with Jen about the domestic?
I had conversations with Jen pretty quickly after the domestic because Kevin had been removed from the home for a period of time, and the situation was very stressful. Obviously,
Hold on, it's official. It's Kevin and Kelvin. That's not acceptable. Hold on. And that means the woman, there's something wrong there too, because you can't approve that. Do you know how hard I would laugh if I was pregnant and my Kevin husband came to me and was like, "Hey, babe, I was thinking we should." Shit. I was thinking we should. Calvin. Oh, oh my God. Oh, I mean, I would laugh so hard. There's no fucking way in my goddamn life to know how that conversation went.
for her, and the kids were having a hard time adjusting. So her and I just talked about it in depth as far as how to best support her and the kids through that time. She gave me a little bit of insight from her perspective as to what had happened. So we discussed that too.
At the naming ceremony, like, did everybody discuss it? They're like, Calvin and Kevin. Was there a type? Is it Kevin Jr.? That's fine. We can accept Kevin Jr. Seems like a slip of the finger. The Calvin thing. Oh, that was okay. Yeah, sure. Yeah, Calvin, for sure.
And Casey, from your conversation with Miss Kloosterman, who did you understand was hurt physically in the domestic incident?
My understanding was that Jen was hurt.
And Casey, you spoke, or earlier you testified that you also spoke to Calvin about this incident. Is that correct? What was
Hold on, is it Calvin or Kelvin? That's such a big difference. If it's a Calvin, Donna Orlando Chiquita is here. Thank you so much for being here. Please don't make me jealous. I'm dying for the sunshine. I figure this is probably my last tanned day before it begins to fade and the gray skies seep into my skin again. I miss it so much, Donna. I miss you. Love you. What a lovely host and lovely lady Miss Donna is. She deserves all the praise and all the thanks in the world. Um, anyway, seriously though, What is going on with the naming thing here? You got a Kevin, a Kelvin, and a Calvin. I'm very confused. And I personally am talking about the son. I don't give a fuck about this husband. No, I don't need no Kevin in my life. Believe you me.
Was your conversation with Calvin?
Objection, hearsay.
I'll
I
withdraw
agree.
the question, Your Honor.
I agree.
Casey, earlier you testified that occasionally you hear the defendant, Kevin Kloosterman, speak negatively about the plaintiff in front of the minor children. Can you explain your answer?
When we've been there, and during disagreements, he would call her stupid, mainly, nothing beyond that.
Was she being stupid? It's sort of important. And I don't agree with calling people stupid necessarily, but I mean, that's sort of important. Isn't it? Is it? Am I wrong? Maybe I'm wrong. Also, Donna, Miss Donna, seriously miss you. I wish you I'll turn on the camera in a minute. I'm trying to let the internet work here. Our internet is so abysmal compared to even just like basic internet in Florida. Also, yeah. What a lovely city. I heard somebody else make fun of Orlando. I feel like I should come to Orlando and become an ambassador there because everyone seems to badmouth it. Well, they're fucking wrong. It's a great little city. Maybe it's not little, but it's a great city and I really enjoyed my time there. So, anyways, we're watching this divorce case. I don't know how it ends, Donna, so we'll see how it goes. But there is a dog at the beginning. Nobody introduced this dog, and I'm pretty pissed off about that. But I miss Kobe and him coming and hanging out with me sometimes. So, anyways, let's keep going. And I want to come back to Florida. Don't tempt me.
And Casey, do you have any reason to believe that the plaintiff, Jen Kloosterman, is attempting to harm the relationship between defendant and the children?
Objection, speculation.
Respond.
Your Honor, I asked her if she has any reason. Based on her answer, I can follow up and lay the foundation for why she believes that or doesn't believe it. I mean, I can't lay the foundation without her first answer.
Sure.
Ms. Casey, I'm going to ask you the question again. Do you have any reason to believe the plaintiff is attempting to harm the relationship between the defendant and the children?
I do not.
And Casey, do you have any reason to believe the defendant is attempting to harm the relationship between the plaintiff and the children?
Objection, speculation. We just went through this and we were supposed to ask a follow-up question on the first one. And now she's just continuing to go to the other side.
The first question, she said no, and I moved on. I'm asking a separate question now, Your Honor.
But we need to know why she says no. I mean, she's a fact witness.
I think you can dig into that on cross.
Okay, Casey, I'm going to ask you again. Do you have any reason to believe the defendant is attempting to harm the relationship between the plaintiff and the minor children?
Not clear on that one, no.
I have no further questions, Casey. Thank you.
Mr. Counselor, do you have any questions for this witness?
Yes, Your Honor. Ms. Plamanen, would you say that you're close friends with Ms. Kloosterman?
I would say yes, we are.
You don't have the same type of friendship with Mr. Kloosterman, is that fair to say?
That would be fair.
So wouldn't it seem more appropriate that your very good friend is the one contacting you more often regarding your mutual children's events, things like that, than somebody that you're not really friends with?
That would be who I would feel most comfortable reaching out to, yes.
Okay. So that in and of itself, that doesn't really mean Mr. Kloosterman's not involved with his children's lives. It just means he's not communicating with you, who is Ms. Kloosterman's friend, correct?
Correct.
Good point. That's a good argument. I like it.
And you said that your children and the Klusterman children are both involved in specifically hockey, but any other extracurriculars that they do together?
No, our boys play together or have played together.
And with respect to hockey events, do you typically see both parents there?
Depending on the weekend, yes, both
Um,
have been there.
well, can you please explore that? What's going on a weekend that it would be different that both parents wouldn't be there?
They have multiple children in travel sports. So I can only assume that one is with one child and one is with the other.
So have there been times where you've seen Mr. Klusterman at hockey and not Mrs. Klusterman?
Correct.
How often would you say that occurred?
It's been a few years since our boys have been on the same team. I know.
Ooh, which one do you think is better? Which kid do you think is better? Travel sports is nothing like water sports, William, but thank you for being here. Travel sports is a humble brag for parents. It means that your kid is on a team. That means that instead of having a weekend, you spend the weekend traveling to other cities to play sports against them for the prestige and the possibility of a collegiate career, most likely, I guess.
I saw him last year during our boys' districts when they played each other.
Would you see Mr. Klusterman travel out of town with one of the children by himself?
Yes,
And that occurred more than once?
correct.
Would you say that occurred fairly often?
Pretty evenly split, yes.
So on those occasions, when you were asked if during those travel hockey weekends, who provided the day-to-day care for the children, it would have been Mr. Klusterman if he was the only one there. Is that fair to say?
Yes,
And you were asked about going boating with the Klusterman family. Was Mr. Klusterman also present?
correct.
Was he taking on other tasks like operating the boat or playing with the children, swimming, things like that?
He was.
So just because Miss Klusterman did the food and the sunscreen, that doesn't mean he wasn't there or involved with his children, does it?
It does not.
During those occasions of boating, did you observe the children interacting with Mr. Klusterman?
Yes,
Did they appear loving, affectionate, talkative, bonded to him
yes,
just as much as Miss Klusterman?
yes.
You spoke regarding a domestic violence incident a few years ago that you spoke to Miss Klusterman about that, correct?
I did.
Is your entire frame of reference of what happened based on what Miss Klusterman said to you?
Yes.
You never spoke to Mr. Klusterman to get his side of the story, did you?
No,
You weren't physically present. You didn't actually see anything happen, did you?
no.
I have no further questions.
Thank you. Any redirect, Ms. Lentz?
Just briefly, Casey, the hockey weekends, going back to that for a second. Were there weekends that you spent with the Klusterman where both parents were present?
Yes.
And in those times, what parent did you observe doing most of the child rearing activities?
When they were together, it would be Jen.
And Casey, you were just asked about the domestic, and the question was something along the lines of like, is your only frame of reference from conversations with Jen? Isn't it true that you also spoke to other people about the domestic incident?
I spoke to Jen and to Kelvin.
No further questions.
Any final questions, Ms. Schmelzer?
Yes, Your Honor, just briefly regarding the hockey weekends, that both parents were present and you testified that Mrs. Klusterman did most of the child rearing activities. What specifically did you see her doing?
I saw her entertaining the two girls, getting them ready for bed, taking them swimming, organizing the meals, making sure that everyone was dressed and ready to get out the door.
Is that because their son Kelvin was actually playing hockey?
I would assume it's because Kelvin was older and could probably get himself ready. But yes, he was playing hockey.
And Mr. Klusterman was with Kelvin during those occasions?
I don't recall if they had one or two vehicles to transport.
Well, where was Mr. Klusterman in your observations?
He was typically close by. I mean, either in the room or with the other parents. I mean, some of the other parents would gather in the lobbies, and
he was also with his children, correct?
he was there, yes.
He was attending the hockey game for Kelvin?
Correct.
Thank you. No further questions.
Thank you very much, ma'am. You're all set.
Thank you.
And I did have someone new pop in, so I can tell you.
I would appreciate that. Thanks, Your Honor.
It's Jessica Bocian.
Yes, I would like to call her as my next witness.
Good morning.
Good morning. How are you today?
Fine. How are you?
I'm good, thank you.
All right. You've been.
Okay, that's just like absolutely super loud, and I know I wasn't super paying attention, but you really didn't need to yell at me like that, Jessica. Thanks so fucking much, Jessica. Also, what is on your wall, Jessica? Oh, she just gave me an instant headache. She's way too chipper. Again, this is a prepared witness. Regardless, these are super Utah mom. Like, oh my God, I like saw that your husband like left last night and he didn't put out the garbage. Is there like a problem at your house? Oh my God, he doesn't love you anymore? Like, that's so terrible. Anyways, we're having a New Year's party and I wanted to invite you now because I know the invites come fast. So, anyways, hi.
Called as a witness in this matter by Ms. Lentz and her client. She'll have some questions for you. And then if he chooses to, Ms. Schmelzer may have some questions for you, okay?
Yep, thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Anyways, I'm doing my fucking best. Okay, Lisa? I'm LA as adjacent to LA as you get. I'm trying my best not to be crunchy mom, which is what my default is, even though I don't want to be. I'm an anti-crunchy mom, crunchy mom. It's horrible. It's such a cross to bear.
Please raise your right hand. Do you swear from the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Thank you. Ms. Lentz.
Miss Bocian, can you please state your full name and spell your last name for the record?
Yeah, it's Jessica Beauchamp. And the last name is Bocian.
Do you mind if I call you Jessica?
Feel free.
Okay. Jessica, where are you currently employed?
I work for Lakeview Realty in Lake Ann.
And do you hold any positions outside of that employment in regard to the community?
I do. I have currently acted as Director of Operations for middle school sports for both TC East Middle School and TC West Middle School for
And
multiple sports.
How long have you been doing that?
This will be my third season.
And Jessica, can you explain how you know the plaintiff, Jennifer Klusterman?
Yep. I met Jennifer last year as a parent when she enrolled her daughter Callie into the volleyball program. Every time we have games for volleyball, we need parent volunteers to do either the score books and or line judging. So each game requires 3 adults to participate. And she was always a volunteer without ever asking. She just was like, how can I help you? She has a knowledge base of volleyball that's strong and fluent, and was always available last year. So that's how we met each other.
And do you know any of the Kloosterman children?
I know Callie.
And how do you know Callie?
She's an athlete for the program.
And Jessica, if you had to estimate on a weekly basis, how often do you see the plaintiff?
Between 1 to 2 times a week, depending on where her games are located and where I'm placed for game management that night.
And in the times you see the plaintiff, are her children ever present?
Callie's always there because she's a player on the team. And I believe the other kiddo is her other daughter who comes up to hug her. So I'm going to assume it's her kid.
And Jessica, do you recall receiving any emails from the plaintiff in regard to facilitating Callie's participation in volleyball?
Yes.
Do you recall receiving any emails from the defendant, Kevin Kloosterman, in regard to facilitating Callie's participation in volleyball?
No.
Jessica, does the plaintiff attend Callie's volleyball games?
Jen, correct?
Yes, Jen
Sorry.
Kloosterman.
Yep. Yes, she's a coach.
And
she has
during
been at every game.
And during those games, have you ever seen the plaintiff encourage Callie?
She encourages all of her players.
What sort of behavior does plaintiff do to encourage the players?
High fives, camaraderie, team dynamics, good job. I always view with coaching that encouragement is also modifying how you coach to coach and teach the kid, the athlete, to grow. So she's often giving players the tidbacks and the feedback to improve in a positive format.
Have you seen her give her own daughter that feedback?
Absolutely. And
Jessica, was there an issue at volleyball tryouts this year with Callie?
I'm not gonna say Callie, because Callie has never been an issue as a player or as a human. There was an issue as far as we had potentially some mechanical technology difficulties with our registration system. So we had a number of athletes show up to tryouts in August, stating they were here for trying out, but they were not somehow in my computer system to show me that they were like genuinely had done all the steps. At which point in years past, the plan has always been, if we don't have room for your athlete currently, because they're not in our program, the best way to circumvent that system is to coach yourself or find a family friend or somebody that you know to coach that team. And then your athlete jumps over into that team. And Jen right away knew that we had a tech glitch of some sort. We didn't know what it was. Many people did. And I said, hey, we need a coach. And she's like, give me 5 minutes. I think I'm going to coach.
And did the plaintiff, Jen Kloosterman, actually agree to coach?
She did. She came back and said, I've been advised to not coach because my life is very busy, but I also know it is what is best for my athlete, my daughter, and the other kids that are going to be able to have a team to play on. And she said, I'm doing it because it's what's best for the kids.
And Jessica, did Jen's action in agreeing to coach allow Callie to play on the team?
Yes, we did not have a coach at that point for that team.
Jessica, that decision by plaintiff, what does it lead you to believe as to her commitment to her children?
She took on knowing that she had a brand new job and some probably transition in life, whatever that was going on with. It allowed her to take on an ability to have her kid play on a team, be with her daughter every day, because that's always huge to be one-on-one with your kid and with the team. And it allowed, in the end, 15 kids to have a coach. We originally rostered her at 12, and there were 3 that were on the bubble of athletic ability. And Jen said, I am happy to take 3 more because this is their true last shot to really get solid coaching in order to go on to the high school level. So she took 15 kids, which is really hard.
And Jessica, have you received any feedback in regard to Jen's coaching?
Yep, we had besides my personal feedback, which has been organized and on the ball and intuitive, our athletic director at the East Side is Miss Jonna Deering. And Jonna called me one day after walking into Jen's practice early on and said, wow, she's so good at what she's doing right now.
Objection, hearsay.
I agree. Sustained.
Understood, Your Honor. Jessica, have you received any negative feedback about Jen's coaching?
Objection calls for hearsay. She can ask her about her own observations, but
Yeah, you can ask. Well, you can't mention what other people have said, ma'am. Even though you're being asked that, it's not an appropriate question.
Thank you.
Your Honor, or sorry, Jessica, have you ever been disappointed with Jen's coaching?
No.
And Jessica, does plaintiff appear attentive to the children she coaches?
Yes. As well as also an organized coach.
And does she relate well to the children that she coaches?
To the best of my observations, yes.
Jessica, has the plaintiff ever negatively discussed the defendant, Kevin Kloosterman, to you?
No.
And Jessica, from your observations of plaintiff, would you consider her to be an involved or an uninvolved parent?
Involved.
No further questions, Your Honor.
Ms. Schmelzer, any questions for this witness?
thank you. Ms. Beauchamp, my name is Lori Schmelzer and I represent Kevin Kloosterman. Just briefly, you mentioned that you met Ms. Kloosterman about a year ago. Is that correct?
Correct.
Also, briefly, could you comment on my coral suit jacket? Because it's as close to power jacket as I'm going to get. But, my blonde hair has a little curl in it, so I really care. This is, again, such a waste of judicial time and efficiency. These lawyers should be ashamed they couldn't work this out. Yeah, I said it. Come and fucking fight me on it.
She brought Callie to evaluations.
Okay. And when does the volleyball season run?
It starts end of August and it just finished up yesterday, actually.
Prior to August, was there anything going on with respect to volleyball tryouts, coaching?
Not anything that I'm involved. Not anything that I'm involved in, no.
Okay. You mentioned that you see Ms. Kloosterman about 1 to 2 times per week. Is that throughout the entire year or only during the volleyball season?
Volleyball season.
So did you see her last year between August and October for volleyball season as well?
Correct. Anytime that I was at a school that her daughter played at I work as a director of operations, which is kind of like an assistant athletic director. So anytime I'm at a game at East Middle or West Middle and her athlete was playing at that location, that's when I've had that cross reference of Jen during the season.
So is it fair to say that from approximately the end of October of 2022 to August of 2023, you actually didn't see Ms. Kloosterman 1 to 2 times per week?
Correct. It's just during volleyball season.
Okay. And you mentioned that her daughter, Callie. Does she have other children?
I believe she has 3.
And who are they? Have you ever met them?
Nope, I don't know them completely. I really focus on the athlete.
No further questions.
Weird answer.
Any redirect?
No, Your Honor.
Thank you very much, ma'am. You're all set.
Thank you. Have a good day.
You too. Thanks. Jamie's iPhone just popped on too, or at some point.
Yep, she would be my next witness, Your Honor.
Here we go with Jamie's iPhone. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome Jamie's iPhone to the stage. Jamie's iPhone to the stage.
Okay, good
From her
morning.
car.
Morning.
Are you Jamie?
Yes.
My name is Matt Hagan. I'm the referee in this matter. Would you mind telling me your name, your full name, please?
Sure. Jamie Burley.
How do you spell your last name?
Burley.
Thank you. You've been called as a witness in this matter by Ms. Lentz and her client. They'll have some questions for you, or she'll have some questions for you. And then if she chooses to, Ms. Schmelzer may have some questions for you, okay?
Okay.
1 second. Get everything typed in. Okay. If you'd raise your right hand, please.
Yep.
Do you swear from the testimony you're about to give the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Thank you, Ms. Lentz.
Thank you, Your Honor. Ms. Burley, can you explain how you know the plaintiff, Jennifer Kloosterman?
We met a couple years ago. Our kids played hockey together.
And a couple years ago, approximately how long ago was that?
I almost exactly 2 years ago.
And do you know the defendant, Kevin Kloosterman?
Yes.
How do you know the defendant?
Again, through hockey.
Have you known defendant for the same proximity of time as you've known the plaintiff?
I'm sure we met around the same time. Yes.
And Ms. Burley, how frequently would you say that you see the plaintiff on a weekly basis?
It depends on the time of year. During hockey season, a lot more, probably once a week or more. It's been a little more sporadic when we're not at the ice rink.
And in the times that you see the plaintiff, are her children ever present?
Yes.
In those instances, have you seen the plaintiff express love and affection towards her children?
Yes.
Can you give a specific example or explain why you answered that way?
Yeah, they're a very loving family. I mean, every time I see them together, they're hugging. They're just a loving family. It's obvious to anyone that's around them.
And Miss Burley, have you seen the children? I guess, never mind, scratch that. Miss Burley, from your interactions with the plaintiff, do you believe that she supports the children's education?
Yes.
Why would you say that?
Well, Jen's a teacher. We've had conversations about education before in general. It's something that, yeah, is a high priority for her. We've had conversations about it before.
Has the plaintiff ever helped your own children?
I don't know specifically, but it has been offered. I know she's a math tutor, and I've given her name out before to help other people that have needed tutoring.
Miss Burley, have you ever seen the plaintiff, Jennifer Kloosterman, like discipline her children?
No.
And Miss Burley, have you ever seen the plaintiff provide food for her children?
Yes.
Can you give a specific example?
Well, we have teenage boys, so they are hungry all the time. There's always food available. There's been many occasions we've been at where she's brought food, or yes, many times.
Ms. Burley, have you ever seen the plaintiff provide medical care for the children?
No.
Ms. Burley, have you ever seen the children seek comfort from the plaintiff?
Yes.
Can you give an example?
As I said before, they're a very loving family. I mean, I can't think of a specific example of something that happened, but she's always there for a hug for her kids. It's not an uncommon thing to see her hugging her children, or just there for them in general.
And Ms. Burley, when you see the plaintiff at these, I think you said hockey events, does she appear engaged with the activity?
Yes.
Have you ever seen her offer encouragement to the children during these events?
Yes.
How did you see her offer encouragement?
Well, being there is a big part of it. As much encouragement as you can offer from the other side of the glass at an ice rink. She's always there after the game to say good job, and she's there as much as she can be. Having 3 active kids in sports, that's got to be tough, dividing time between all of them, but she makes it happen. I don't know how she does it.
And Ms. Burley, in the context of extracurricular activities, have you ever seen the plaintiff speak negatively to the children about their performance at the extracurriculars?
No.
In the context of extracurricular activities, have you ever seen the defendant speak negatively to the children about their performance?
That's a tough one. Hockey is a bit of an aggressive sport, so I'm not sure.
Can you explain your answer some more?
I can't think of a specific example.
And Ms. Burley, aside from attending the children's extracurriculars, do you know if the plaintiff is involved in any other capacity in regard to those extracurriculars? So like aside from just attending the games?
Yeah, she's often involved in whatever other coordination there might be for banquets or award ceremonies. I know this is an extracurricular, but she was room mom at our kids' school last year. Anything that needs to be helped with, she's typically involved.
And Ms. Burley, in the times that you have seen the plaintiff interact with her children, have you observed any behavior from her that you would consider to be concerning?
No.
In the times that you have seen the defendant interact with the children, have you observed any behavior from the defendant that you would deem to be concerning?
I'm not sure. I can't think of a specific example.
Ms. Burley, have you ever heard the plaintiff speak negatively about the defendant in front of the children?
No.
And have you ever heard the defendant speak negatively about the plaintiff in front of the children?
I am not around him enough, I don't think, to know.
Ms. Burley, do you know if the plaintiff and defendant are currently residing together?
I don't know for a fact, but from my understanding, they are not.
And is your child friends with one of the minor children in this case?
Yes.
Was there a point in time where you needed to decide if you would permit your son to stay the night with one of the minor children in the care of defendant?
I'm really not comfortable answering these questions about my child in particular.
Okay. I have no further questions.
Ms. Schmeltzer, any questions for this witness?
Yeah, I have some questions. If that's a weird answer. Isn't that a weird answer?
Yes. Ms. Burley, you stated that you met both parties, both parents, about 2 years ago in the context of your kids playing hockey together. Is that correct?
Correct.
Sort of being sports parents and attending games and events related to hockey, is that really the majority of your frame of reference as to either parent? Or do you spend time outside of hockey with the family?
The mass majority of time was at hockey.
Was Mr. Klusterman also present?
Yes.
Would you say he was present more often than not present, or rarely present? How often?
Because they have 3 kids, they had to divide their time, so it just depended on the weekend.
Was this travel hockey where you went out of town for tournaments or games?
Yes.
Were there times where Mr. Klusterman was alone, traveling alone with their son Kelvin, and Miss Klusterman was not there, that you observed?
Yes.
And you kind of testified a couple times that this is a very loving family. They hug each other and things like that. Is that also applied to the children and Mr. Klusterman in your observations?
Yes, I think children are generally a little more loving toward their mother physically with hugging and whatnot, but they all seem to care for both parents.
You've observed the children hugging and talking to and interacting with Mr. Klusterman at these events as well, right?
Correct.
Would you say that you're more close or more friendly with Miss Kloosterman as, you know, two moms of hockey children versus with Mr. Kloosterman?
Yes.
You testified that you've never seen anything that concerned you about either parent with respect to how they cared for or interacted with their children. Is that fair to say?
Yes.
And it's true that Mr. Kloosterman took your son golfing with their son Kelvin and wakeboarding approximately a month ago.
Approximately. It was this summer, I believe, but
And you were not present for that, correct?
correct.
And you had no concerns over, you know, sending your son for a few hours that day to be with Kelvin and Mr. Kloosterman, correct?
I have a teenage boy. I'm always concerned about what he's doing and who he's with.
Certainly, no concerns that he would be harmed in any way or was in any kind of danger or anything like that, correct?
At that time, no.
And Mr. Kloosterman was able to provide the children a good day of activity, lunch, things like that, and returned him to your care safely?
I mean, I wasn't there. From what I understood, they had a good time, but yes, he returned home.
Nothing further, thank you.
Any redirect, Ms. Lentz?
Briefly, Your Honor. Miss Burley, this golfing wakeboarding incident that we just talked about, did you know that your son was going with Mr. Kloosterman at the time prior to it happening?
Yes.
And you had, were you upset about that situation?
I am upset usually when my son asks me at the last minute to do something.
Sounds like a super fun
And Miss
mom.
Burley, were you nervous to testify today?
Yes.
Why?
Because my child is involved and he doesn't need to be.
Ms. Burley, would you say that your concern for your own child is affecting the way you answer the questions today?
Yes.
No further questions, Your Honor.
Are you suggesting your child's at risk of harm? I mean, I don't understand.
Our kids go to school together. I don't,
Have either of the parties in this case threatened you or your child? I guess what I'm getting at.
no.
Okay, Ms. Schmelzer, did you have any final questions for this witness?
No, I think the court's questions covered what I was going to ask. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, ma'am. You're all set.
Thank you.
Okay, so I'd just like to give you a trigger warning. If this has pissed you off so far, this is hour 1 of 6+.
1 second. And then, so I still have Garrett DeVries.
Yes,
I don't
Your
know
Honor.
but that's
Sorry.
how it's spelled.
I interrupted you. I didn't mean to.
I was just stating who's in the waiting room still.
Yes, Garrett would be my next witness, Your Honor.
Garrett. Oh my God, Garrett. Can you please come forward, please, Garrett? Oh my God. We're not doing it all tonight, though, MB. I am learning as I go that I need to space things out a little bit. So it'll be all throughout this week. We'll do another, I don't know, hour or so of this tonight. Don't worry. We won't abandon it if it's hot.
Your
You
Honor,
know how I am.
Mr. DeVries is in a different room of my office. He is an older gentleman and I'm concerned he doesn't know how to hit the join audio button. Could I please have, oh, there we go. Thank you.
Good morning.
Good morning.
My name is Matt Hagan. I'm the referee in this matter. You've been called as a witness by Ms. Lentz and her client, Ms. Lentz.
Oh,
We just lost the screen here.
as I said, Your Honor, I think he's struggling a bit with the technology. If you could give me a second, I'm going to have one of my staff members make sure he can reconnect and then have him not touch anything after that.
No problem.
Okay, thanks.
No problem. I will just look at my next surfing plan, and Coral Lady will be texting on her phone with her modest cleavage showing. I have less than is this modest? I mean, I guess right now. Oh, that was almost my nipple. Oh dear. Remember our Dutch lesson from today, folks. Remember we learned at the beginning of this show the Dutch lesson.
Thank you for your patience, Your Honor. My staff is helping him.
Sure. He's no longer signed in, but I'll let everybody know once he is. Okay.
Patience, Your Honor. My staff is helping him.
Sure. He's no longer signed in, but I'll let everybody know.
Here you go.
Okay, Mr. DeVries, can you hear me?
I can, sir.
All right, thank you. So as I was stating a few seconds ago, my name is Matt Hagan. I'm the referee in this matter. Ms. Lentz and her client have called you as a witness, so she'll have some questions for you. And then if she chooses to, Ms. Schmelzer may have some questions for you, okay?
Okay.
All right. 1 second. Mr. DeVries, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
We're getting some feedback. So it's seconds ago. My name is Matt Hagan. I'm the referee in this matter.
Oh, now you're getting feedback. I was.
Get Megan back in here.
And then if she chooses to, Ms. Schmelzer.
I think we got a conflicting computer here. Are these two competing against each other?
Oh, yeah.
We're getting feedback.
Yes, I can.
Yep, I can now.
That Ms. Lentz, is that you're a staff person?
Yep.
Yes.
The person can stay in there. Person's not going to be a witness, right?
Hey, Megan, could you
We're
just
good.
stay
I think we're
with
good
your?
now.
Okay.
I mean, it's.
We're
I
good.
don't mind. I
You're not
know
gonna
the
be
staff
witness.
probably has other things to do. I'm just saying, if you need someone, that person hasn't been sequestered. Okay, so Mr. DeVries, you can hear me okay now?
Yes, I can.
Hopefully, if we start to get the feedback or that echo again, we'll just stop and deal with it. Because
I think we got that handled here. So.
all right, thank you. If you'd raise your right hand, please. Do you swear from the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you.
I do too.
Mr. DeVries, can you state your full name and spell your last name for the record?
It's Garrett DeVries, D-E, V as in Victor, R-E-E.
And Mr. DeVries, how do you know the plaintiff in this matter, Jennifer Kloosterman?
She's my daughter.
Do you know the defendant in the matter, Kevin Kloosterman?
This her daddy. Is he her daddy? I mean, I guess he's her daddy.
I do by marriage.
And do you know the minor children at issue in this case?
Yes, I do.
Mr. DeVries, paragraph 7 of defendant's July 6th objection to the temporary order for custody, parenting, and support accuses you of instructing the plaintiff to capture the children saying things on video to use against the defendant. Mr. DeVries.
Oh God, these people don't use lube. What the fuck? You guys, you gotta warm us up a little bit. You gotta talk soft. You gotta kiss a little bit. You can't just be like, I mean, we gotta go back. What did she just accuse him of? Seriously, and I'm a dirty bitch.
D-E, V as in Victor, R-E-E.
And Mr. DeVries, how do you know the plaintiff in this matter, Jennifer Kloosterman?
She's my daughter.
Do you know the defendant in the matter, Kevin Kloosterman?
I do by marriage.
And do you know the minor children at issue in this case?
Yes, I do.
Mr. DeVries, paragraph 7 of defendant's July 6th objection to the temporary order for custody, parenting, and support accuses you of instructing the plaintiff to capture the children saying things on video to use against the defendant. Mr. DeVries, are you instructing your daughter to record the children to use against the defendant?
Never.
Mr. DeVries, paragraph 8 of defendant's July 6th objection to the temporary order for custody, parenting time, and support accuses you of trying to intimidate and harass the defendant. Are you intimidating or harassing the defendant?
No.
Mr. DeVries, was there a time in June of 2023 that you came to the marital residence?
What date was that? It's very well possible. Yeah, I would say so. I don't know exact date, but yes, it's possible.
And can you explain why you would be at the marital residence?
To visit my daughter and grandkids. That's usually why we come here to Traverse City. No other reason.
Would your presence at the marital residence have been to intimidate or harass the defendant?
No.
Mr. DeVries, paragraph 9 of defendant's July 6th objection to the temporary order for custody, parenting time, and support accuses you of stalking the defendant. Are you stalking the defendant, Kevin Kloosterman?
No.
And Mr. DeVries, the defendant's status conference brief accuses you of coaching the plaintiff to turn the children away from the defendant. Are you coaching the plaintiff to turn the children against defendant?
No.
Mr. DeVries, defendant's status conference brief accuses you of purchasing a boat for your grandson in an attempt to buy his affection for the plaintiff. Did you purchase a boat for your grandson in an attempt to influence your grandson's decision?
No, I did not.
Can you explain the boat situation?
The boat was a boat from my grandparents. They passed away in the early 80s. In the estate, I was granted a rowboat. It's been hanging on my barn for near 35 years. And Kelvin said he would like to go fishing when they separated. And I said, you know, I can help out there. I have a boat on the back of my barn that's been sitting there. So I got it. I cleaned it up. I had an electric motor that I got from selling stuff in my business 35 years ago. I pulled it out of the basement, hooked it up, and I brought it to Kelvin to use for fishing.
And Mr. DeVries, how would you characterize your daughter as a mother?
My daughter is probably one of the best mothers that I would know. She's very thoughtful. She's very caring. She puts her kids first before her own needs. Yes.
I have no further questions for you, Mr. DeVries.
Ms. Schmaltzer, do you have any questions for this witness?
Yes, I can confer with my client just briefly.
Yes.
One moment.
Wow, like seriously, this testimony is nuts. I'm just gonna say it. I would hit Schmelzer first before Lentz. Coral jacket before the other one.
Thank you, Your Honor. Mr. DeVries, in late June or early July, isn't it true that you were parked in a vehicle outside of Mr. Kloosterman's workshop
Yes, I was.
and you were observing him, correct?
No, I was not.
Why were you there?
You want the short version or the long version? I'll give you the short version. We were going to leave. It was a Sunday night. We were going to.
No, that was in April.
That was in April already.
That was.
Mr.
Whoa,
DeVries,
whoa.
Oh, hang on, objection.
Whoa, 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 who the fuck is that talking? Oh my God. Schmelzer is fucking, yeah. Look at her with her arms up. That would be me too. What the fuck is going on here, Your Honor? Objection, objection. Who the fuck is that? Oh my God. I love you guys.
And this witness is being coached.
No, I'm not.
Well,
I just heard a female voice correct his testimony.
Can I take care of this, please, Ms. Schmelzer? Yeah, somebody's in there telling you what to say, sir, so that.
Okay, my wife is in here. No, she's not. She just got the date.
No.
but-
Mr. Dewey, can you have her leave the room?
Yes,
So you can't
yes,
be in
I'm
there.
sorry. I'm sorry.
Obviously, she's not gonna be able to be a witness now. You're aware of that.
She's not a witness, Your Honor.
Who else is in the room, sir?
Nobody. Nobody.
That person isn't even in there?
No, she's not anymore. She left.
All right, Ms. Schmelzer.
Sorry about that.
Thank you, Your Honor. Sir,
Yes,
you do admit that you provided the 15-year-old son a boat for fishing after the party separated, correct?
yes, I did. Yes,
And you've also sent him pictures of additional boats, instructing him that these are things you could purchase for him, correct?
no,
You
I
also
sent
bought
him-
him snowmobiles.
no.
You've never offered to purchase him anything else. The boat is it.
I never purchased a boat for him. The boat was for him to use. It is my boat. It's for all my grandkids to use. So, no, I did not.
And your
Oh.
testimony today is that you've never sent Kelvin any pictures of any other boats, snowmobiles, or made any other offers to purchase things for him.
I have sent him pictures of boats and snowmobiles for me to purchase, and I sent them for him to, hey, what do you think about this one? That's for the only reason. I do not buy my grandkids toys.
Prior to the party's separation in approximately April,
I don't buy them toys. I only buy them boats. Please get it right, lady. Only boats. Only boats.
of 2023, how often did you go to the marital home?
It varies on the week. It could be once a week. Maybe we've been there 3 times a week. It depends.
I'm asking about prior to April of 2023.
Not near as often, maybe once a month. I don't keep track of a calendar. I don't do that.
You live out of town, correct? You don't live in the Traverse City area or Northern Michigan area.
That's correct.
Where do you live?
I live in Zeeland, Michigan.
And approximately how far away is that from Traverse City, or more specifically from the marital home?
2 hours and 15 minutes, probably 150 miles. I don't know.
And since the party separated in April, your visits became more frequent, weekly or multiple times a week. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Were you in the marital home the day that a person by the name of Christy Caldwell was in the marital home?
Yes, I was.
And the children were also present?
I know Kelvin was. Yeah, the other ones would have to have been there too. Yes.
And Miss Caldwell is an employee of Miss Klusterman's attorney. Is that not correct?
Yes, I believe she was.
And during that incident, isn't it true that things like a PPO and or a CPS investigation were being discussed openly in front of the children?
I'm not sure what you're asking me there.
Miss Caldwell, an employee
Yes,
of Wilson Kester Law Firm who represents Miss Klusterman, was present in the home with you and the children, correct?
that's correct.
And topics regarding a PPO and or a Child Protective Services investigation were discussed in front of the children that day, correct?
The only thing that was discussed is what the rules and regulations of the PPO were. To clarify that, and it was only to Kelvin, not to the girls.
Kelvin, the minor child who's 15 years old, is that correct?
Yes,
And you grabbed Kelvin's arm when he tried to walk away and told him to listen, is that correct?
I don't recall doing that. No, I do not. I
I have
usually
no
do
further
not.
questions for this witness.
Any redirect, Ms. Lentz?
Yes, Your Honor, briefly. Mr. DeVries, do you know, was an employee dropping off the entered PPO at the marital residence?
Excuse me?
Was the employee from my office delivering the entered PPO to the marital residence, to the plaintiff?
I believe she was, yes.
And Mr. DeVries, do you have any knowledge of a CPS investigation being open in June of 2023 when this PPO was delivered?
No.
And Mr. DeVries, to be clear, when you text the minor child pictures of boats and snowmobiles, are you attempting to influence him or have a conversation with him?
I am attempting to have a conversation with him. I like to interact with my grandchildren. And I've been out of snowmobiling for 3 years now, and I'd like to get back in, so I like his input. He's 15 years old, he has an input. I like his opinion of things.
Mr. DeVries, if your child, just as a parent, if your child's going through a difficult situation, is it normal for parents to be more supportive during that time?
Yes, it is. In my case, it is.
No further questions, Your Honor.
Any final questions, Ms. Schmelzer?
I've never
Your Honor,
experienced
thank you.
that, but maybe
Thank
that
you,
is
sir.
the case.
You're welcome.
All right, we'll go off the record briefly here.
We will, but we won't, Judge, because we have to move along. We have to learn more about this sad little case. So we just watched that. Now we watch this. We'll see how long we do. How long is this one? This is a
All right,
minute,
we're
and then
back
the
on the
next
record
one's
on
coming
case
up.
number 2317423DM. We went off the record to take care of some of the video issues. We're on Exhibit 2. Ms. Lentz, start with you.
Ms. Kloosterman, in a minute, I'm going to ask you to watch what I have labeled Exhibit 2. Can you explain to the court what Exhibit 2 is?
Yes, it is a conversation between Kevin and I.
And who is the adult male present in the video?
Kevin,
Did you film Plaintiff Exhibit 2?
I did.
When did you film Plaintiff's Exhibit 2?
May 1, 2018.
And is this the entirety of the clip you filmed?
Yes.
Is Plaintiff's Exhibit 2 an accurate
That's 5 years
representation of the
ago.
defendant at the time you filmed it?
Yes.
Your Honor, I move to admit Plaintiff's Exhibit 2.
1 second here. We're recording the DCR recording says there's an error, but just give me a second. We're recording through YouTube, so all this is being and through Zoom.
Tell me
I'm
about
going to
it.
go off this record real quick, see what's going on. I haven't received that error message before, and it was working. All right, 1 second. It's having it's recording me. It's having an issue when I click Zoom. So we're gonna go off the record for a second. Just let me play with it. Exhibit 2. So Ms. Lentz.
All right, I'm going to start over here for a second. Ms. Kloosterman, in a minute, I'm going to ask you to watch Plaintiff's Exhibit 2. Can you explain to the court what Exhibit 2 is?
Yes, it's Kevin talking.
And who is the adult male present in the video?
Kevin,
Did you film Exhibit 2?
I did.
When did you film Exhibit 2?
May 1, 2018.
Is Exhibit 2 the entirety of the clip you filmed?
Yes, it is.
And is it an accurate representation of the defendant at the time you filmed it?
Yes, it is.
Your Honor, I'd move to admit Exhibit 2.
Any objection?
Well, we haven't seen Exhibit 2 yet, so I think we need to see the exhibit and have it disseminated before it's admitted.
Your Honor, we went through this earlier and you told me to do the
I
foundation.
know, and then Ms. Schmelzer agreed to that process, so now she's flipping, and she's already seen it. We had a whole conversation off the record about the videos you've seen. Go ahead and show it then. I don't know why.
All right, so I'm going to play it. I'm going to share my screen.
This, for the record, is not the way I prefer to have it done. I know that you've seen it to say that you haven't seen it is false.
I'm not saying that I haven't seen
That's
it,
exactly
but
what you said.
if it's being admitted, it needs to be part of the record, which the record is being recorded.
I don't care how we do it. I can either play the video first and lay the foundation.
Well, it just depends. So we'll find out how Ms. Schmelzer wants it done each time, apparently.
All right, I'm gonna play the video.
One time. No.
All right, Your Honor, I move to admit plaintiff's exhibit 2.
Any objections?
The video that was just played is not the video that I was provided as exhibit.
I object because that video sucked.
As exhibit 2, the audio was very different than what I heard. I don't know if there's a technical issue.
Okay, well, now you've seen exhibit 2. Do you have an objection to after seeing it?
As to the one that was played and the audio that was just played, I have no objection.
All right, exhibit 2 is admitted.
Ms. Klusterman, can you explain the circumstances that were transpiring at the time you filmed plaintiff's exhibit 2?
Yes, I was in the house and I was seeing a situation like this unfold. And I had tried to de-escalate the situation by talking to Kevin prior, and that was not happening. And he was getting upset with Kelvin.
And during this incident, did you try and intervene on your child's behalf?
Yes, absolutely.
Did you ask the defendant to lower his voice?
Yes, I did.
Did the defendant lower his voice?
He did not.
Did you call Child Protective Services after this incident?
I did not.
Why not?
I was scared, and at this point I figured I could handle it and de-escalate it on my own.
And why did you decide to start filming the defendant?
Because at this point I tried to do many things to de-escalate, and originally I wanted to show Kevin and be like, look, do you realize what how you're talking to our children, what you're doing with the stuff that you're saying? And I wanted to do that.
And did you comfort the minor child after this interaction with the defendant?
Yes.
How did you comfort the child?
Talked to him and comforted him physically. I think he was getting in the shower. So as he was, heading that way, walked down the hall, said, hey, are you okay? I'm so sorry you had to hear that sort of thing.
And Ms. Klusterman, after this incident, plaintiff's exhibit 2 incident, did the defendant's method of discipline with the children change?
No.
Ms. Klusterman, in a minute, I'm going to ask you to watch plaintiff's exhibit 5. I'm going to stop now and clarify, would this court like me to play the video first or to proceed with foundation first?
Foundation.
Okay. Ms. Klusterman, can you explain what exhibit 5 is?
Yes, it's Kevin talking.
And who is Kevin?
He is the defendant.
And did you film plaintiff's exhibit 5?
Yes, I did.
And when did you film plaintiff's exhibit 5?
April 14, 2017.
And is plaintiff's exhibit 5 the entirety of the clip you filmed at that time?
Yes, it is the full clip.
Is plaintiff's exhibit 5 an accurate representation of the defendant at the time you filmed it?
Yes, it is.
Your Honor, I've moved to admit plaintiff's exhibit 5.
2017
I guess
objection.
This is never how I do it, ever. So
I would like to do it how you want to do it if you tell me which way you want me
well,
to.
because I don't want to deal with an objection. It doesn't matter. It's just, you don't, like, if you're in the court, you don't show the court an exhibit and just say, okay, here. In other words, I don't usually watch videos before I say whether it's admissible. That's why we went over it off the record, but it's YouTube. It's different. How can we eliminate an objection on this issue so we can proceed as though you both think it's fair? That's all that matters to me. It's just presenting the same thing. It doesn't, it's just someone interjecting their own preference on the court. That's all it is.
Okay.
Well, Your Honor, as we discussed off the record, and I'll say on the record that I do have an objection to exhibit 5 because the child speaks in this video.
Understood, but now we're talking about whether you want to view it. You said earlier that I can't talk about admissibility until we watched it. So do you want to watch it first and then you'll bring that up? Or how do you want to handle it? This is exactly why I don't like to have it played first.
I don't know, because the problem was with Exhibit 2, what was played was different than what the audio was different.
Understood that part.
So right. that makes it hard for me, because if it's different, if I say no objection prior to viewing it, and then it's played and it's different than the one I already viewed, I've already not objected to it. I'm not, I mean, videos are in and of themselves and audio very complicated ways to admit information, and they always have been. And I do my best not to use them as much as, unless it's absolutely necessary. So at least in the proposed Exhibit 5 that I was provided, the child is speaking in that, and I would believe that's hearsay, and this child has not been presented as a witness that's subject to cross-examination as to why they may have said what they said, or what was going on. That's my objection, my preliminary objection. But if Exhibit 5 is played and it's different than the one I viewed, I may have a different objection. I'm not sure.
Understood. Is the child speaking in this video, Ms. Lentz?
Your Honor, I believe there is a child's voice in the video. However, I believe it fits into a category for the hearsay exception.
Which one specifically?
Well, first, I'll preface by saying the reason the video is being offered is not for the child's statements. The child's statements, the content of them, have no relevancy to why I'm offering this. I'm offering it for defendants' methods of discipline. Moreover, I think that the minor child crying in a statement where he says nothing would be permitted under MRE 803-2, as he's making a statement in relation to a startling event at the time of the stressful event, which is the defendant yelling at him.
Well, we know that there are going to be two. I thought that there was a distinction between there was one where the child's crying and the one where the child is making direct statements.
In this video, Your Honor, the child is crying and there's one word said, and the word is nothing. And I would say that crying is not a testimonial statement under a hearsay. And
I would agree with that, but that's why I thought we went over two different ones. I wasn't aware that they were speaking in the crying video as well.
And Your Honor, Exhibit 2 was the one where the child was just crying on the audio that I had. Exhibit 5, Exhibit 5, and there was one other. Oh, Exhibit 3 were the ones where the child is also speaking and saying words.
And as to Exhibit 5, there is one word said by the child, and it's the word nothing.
Well, I think you're going to have to build a foundation to support the hearsay exception. I don't believe you've done that thus far.
Okay. Ms. Klusterman, in Exhibit 5, can you explain the circumstances that are transpiring? I know it's difficult when you can't see the video.
Is there really a live chase?
Yes. I know it's an altercation.
Your Honor, can I play the video for
I know it's gonna. It's in the car, and
we have 10 more minutes of this.
Evan and Kelvin, and this is when this is like when I started realizing.
Although she is getting dramatic, it might be a good place to stop. I don't know. Is there actually a live chase going on? My phone's dead. I told you guys that my phone's fucked up, or I didn't maybe, but my phone's fucked up. So we'll keep watching this for a minute. I'll look into that and see what's happening.
Like something's not right. And that's this video.
And Ms. Kloosterman, would you characterize the situation in this video as elevated or stressful?
Yes, very much so.
Ms. Kloosterman, did the child respond in a certain fashion in this video?
He's in his car seat, and so he just is taking the brunt of the screaming and the yelling.
Is your child crying in the video?
Yes.
Your Honor, given Ms. Kloosterman's statements, I would offer this under MRE 803-2. I think the minor child is directly responding to a stressful situation at the time the situation is transpiring. Furthermore, I don't believe that crying is a testimonial statement for hearsay. So that issue would be the child's statement of the word nothing.
Yeah, I continue to agree with the fact that the crying is not a statement. But let's play it and I'll determine. I mean, Ms. Schmelzer still has a standing objection. Play it, we'll see it, and I'll determine whether it fits under that. I think at this point, in terms of testimony, we've got enough to show that there it likely meets the exception under 803-2.
I'm just looking into it, guys. I think we're gonna sign off at this point.
We're seeing more car chases because, frankly, there are more cars to steal.
And we will pick up tomorrow night where this left off.